OK。
那很多前面好了。老师家说他想做前面看不到的，他还看到。
OK。
很可怕。
Okay, so now let's look at the, the left P. Okay, of course, I mean, all the possible situation for left P. Of course, I mean, the same discussion can be applied for the right P. Okay, but let's just focus on the left P. Okay, the left side of the trapezoid. Okay, so you can see, okay, this is top, this is bottom, okay? So left P, okay, this is a degenerate case, okay, where there's only one point on the left side, okay? So this is a degenerate case, okay? And the other cases are, okay, for example, okay, left P is contributed by the endpoint of the top segment. Okay, so like this. And similarly, okay, the left P can also be contributed by the endpoint of the bottom segment, right? Okay, so the last situation, okay, no matter this one, no matter it's the second one or third one, you can see they are, at the first one as well, you can see it's always the left endpoint to contribute the left P, right? Okay, the only exception is the last case. You can see this left P for this particular trapezoid. This left P is contributed by the right endpoint of a different segment, right? Okay, the first three cases, the left P will be the left endpoint of some segment, right? Only the last case, okay, the left P is the right endpoint of some segment, right? Okay, these are all the only four possible cases. You cannot find the fifth case. Okay, you can try to think about any other possible cases, and you will find that all the cases you try to create will be one of these four. Okay, of course, this discussion also applies to the right P. Okay, for right P of trapezoid, there are also four cases, something like this. Okay, so keep this in mind because later we are going to make use of this property in our analysis. Okay. And then, okay, there's one more property I would like to talk about the adjacent trapezoid. Okay, what is adjacent trapezoid? Okay, or you can another way to call it is like a neighboring trapezoid. Okay, neighboring trapezoid or adjacent trapezoid. Okay, so two trapezoids are adjacent. Okay, if and only if they share either the left boundary or right boundary. Okay, they meet along the vertical edge. So you can see that. Okay, for example, here for this situation, number 5, trapezoid number 5 and trapezoid number 1, they share the bottom. Right, they share this segment, the lower segment of trapezoid number 5. But according to this definition, they are not adjacent to each other. Okay, this adjacent property only consider the left-right trapezoid. okay? Not top bottom ones, okay? Okay, so just want you guys to be aware of that, okay? So for example, okay, so for this trapezoid, okay, its adjacent trapezoid includes like these two and this one. So 1, 2, and 3. These three are the adjacent trapezoid for this one. Okay? And if we have this general position property, okay? Remember, what is general position? General position means no two endpoints share the same x-coordinate value, right? Okay, if we have such a assumption, then you will find that your neighboring or your adjacent trapezoid, okay, on one side will be at the most 2. You will not have like more than 2 adjacent trapezoid on one side. Okay, for example, this is possible, but this is the most number of trapezoid you could possibly have for this one on the left-hand side. Okay. Okay. If you want to have more than 2, for example, like here, okay, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 adjacent trapezoid for this one. You have 5 adjacent trapezoid on your left-hand side, but you can see that you will have to have like this endpoint that share the same x-coordinate value, right? Which violate the general position property. Okay. So with that in mind, okay, what is the maximal number of adjacent trapezoid for a given trapezoid? What is the maximal number on both sides? Somebody give me? Okay, let me ask again in Chinese. Okay, 对一个梯形，对任何一个给定的梯形，它最多的这个相邻的梯形有几个？如果你考虑两边都算的话，啊？4个，对不对？最多4，为什么？左边最多2个，右边最多2个，对不对？You have at most 2 on the left-hand side. You have at most 2 on the right-hand side. Okay, so it will be something like this. This one contribute this left side. Okay, this is left P. This one is right P. So in this case, you have these 2 as your left adjacent trapezoid. These 2 as your right adjacent trapezoid for this one. Okay, that's the most number of adjacent trapezoid one trapezoid could have. Okay? Okay. So why do we need to have trapezoidal map? Trapezoidal map. Okay. Eventually, okay, it is because it can be used for efficient search. Okay. So this is the result. Okay. For this trapezoidal map, this is the search structure we could maintain. Okay, and it will be very interesting to see like we can actually search which face, which which trapezoid contain the search point. Okay, very efficient here. But before we talk about, before we dive into the detail here, okay, let me first remind you, this is not a tree, okay, because a lot of time when we do the search, okay, we always use that binary search tree, right? But this is not a tree. It looks like a tree, so this is a tree-like graph, okay? But this is really not a tree. Why? Because you can see some of this node has, this one, has two parents, which is not possible in the tree data structure, right? Okay? It's not possible in the tree data structure. Okay? So that's, you know, in this data structure, in this tree-like data structure, okay, first, the leaf nodes are the trapezoids. Okay, the leaf nodes are the trapezoids. Okay, well, you may feel like strange because I keep saying this is not a tree, but the next sentence I'm saying is that, oh, the leaf nodes, because the leaf nodes only refer to the nodes in the tree, right? Right? So it's kind of contradict to each other, right? But bear with my abuse of terminology, okay? 忍耐一下我这个 terminology 的这个滥用，好不好 ？OK， 就是 these leaf nodes, okay, or put it another way, okay, these nodes that do not have pointer to the other one, okay. Okay, we call them as leaf nodes. Okay, so these nodes, each of them represent one trapezoid. Okay, represent one trapezoid. And the internal node. Okay, so again, internal node is this terminology is used for tree node. You can say like it's a node that has like a outgoing edge. Okay. Okay, outgoing edge. Okay, so these nodes are either are either the point or segment. Either point or segment. Okay, are point or segment. Okay. Okay, so now, okay, with that in mind, okay, let's try to see how we can use this to do a search. Okay, can someone give a point to me? Okay, let's just randomly pick a point. Okay, okay, in here, can somebody just randomly give me a point? Any point? Which one do you want? Of course, you can have any number of, any point. Okay, here, in any place. Which one do you want? Q1. No. Q1 is the end point, right? What I want is a point in a trapezoid. Okay, I just want to demo that we can use this data structure to do the query. Anybody? Like here, or here, or here, or here, here.
A point in D.
Huh? D here.
Yes.
Okay, like here, right? Okay, so we start from the root, okay? We start from root. Root is P1, right? If it's a point, we check if the query point is on the left or right of the internal node. Okay? So this point, or this query point, P1 is here, right? P1 is here, right? So this point is obviously on the right side of P1, right? Obviously on the right side of P1. So you go to the right side, right subtree. Okay, you go to the right subtree. Okay, so then you are going to see Q1, right? Okay, Q1. So when you see Q1, okay, you compare this point with Q1. Okay, this point is on the left side or right side of Q1. Q1 is here, right?
Left side.
It's on the left side, right? Okay. If you don't feel comfortable with English, use Chinese. But I have to use English because I'm teaching this course in English. Okay? So the right side, right? So we go to the right subtree, okay? It's on the left side, right? On left side of Q1, right? Left side of Q1, so we go to left subtree. And then this is S1, right? S1. So if it's a segment, we check if this point is above the segment or below the segment, okay? So where is S1? S1 is this one, right? It's this one, right? If it's above the segment, we go to the left subtree. If it's below the segment, we go to the right subtree, okay? So this point is below the S1, right? Below S1, right? So we go to the right subtree. So what do we see? We go to the right subtree. What do we see? What? P2, right? P2, where is P2? P2 is here, right? P2 is here, right? So when you see P2, you see this point is on the left side or right side of P2?
Right side.
Right side. So you go to the right hand side, right? You go to the right subtree. Okay, you go to the right subtree. There's S2, right? S2, where is S2? S2 is here, right? S2 is here. So this point is above or below S2?
Above.
Above S2, so you go to the left side, right? So this is D. Okay, so this point belongs to the trapezoid D. Okay, you can try to use different point to check. Okay, let me use another two examples to show you. It's kind of interesting. Okay, one example is here. This one. Okay, look carefully. I point to here. I'm not pointing to here. You will see if I point to here. Okay, the sequence that I go through will be different from from here. Okay, the sequence that I find here. Okay, so let's first try here. Okay, here. Okay, starting from root P1. Okay, this point is on the right hand side, right? Of P1, right? This point is on the right hand side of P1, so we go to the right, right? So we see Q1. This point is on the left hand side of Q1, right? Right, this point, Q1 is here, right? It's on the left hand side of Q1, so we go to left subtree, right? And then we see S1. This point is below S1, right? So we go to the right subtree, okay? And we see P2. P2, this point is on the right hand side of P2, right? P2 is here, right? So this point is on the right hand side of P2, so we go to right subtree. And then we see S2, right? When we see S2, okay, this point is below S2, right? So we go to the right subtree. So we see from here we go to F, right? But for the same F, okay, if you pick this point, okay, this point of course belongs to F as well, right? But the path to reach F will be totally different, okay? So starting from the root, okay, P1, this point is on the right hand side of P1, so you go to right subtree, Q1. So this point is on, because Q1 is here, Q1 is here. This point is on the right of Q1, right? On the right of Q1, right? This point is on the right of Q1. Q1 is here. So this Q1, this point is on the right of Q1. So you go to the right subtree of Q1. Okay, so you go here. Q2, okay? So when you see Q2, okay, this point is on the left of Q2. So you go to left subtree. So when you see S2, this point is below S2, okay? So you go to the right subtree. You don't go to right child, okay? But this is right, okay, right child. Even though it looks like it's left child, but no, I mean this one is left, this one is right. Okay, I'm sorry, this may look like a left as well, but this one is really left child. This one is right child. Okay, so you are going to end up at F. Okay, but you can see the path will be different, right? The path will be different. Okay, that is the reason. That is the reason why F is pointed by two internal nodes. Okay. So you may feel like, oh, such data structure is so difficult to construct, right? Such data structure is so difficult to construct. The answer is not. This data structure is actually relatively easy to construct. Okay, it's easy to construct. The algorithm we are using here is incremental algorithm. Okay, what is incremental algorithm? Incremental algorithm means like every time you deal with the problem, okay, in every iteration you try to add one additional to make the problem you are dealing with a little bit larger, until you finish dealing with the whole problem. Okay, so for example, this is an incremental algorithm. The other one that we have learned that belongs to the incremental algorithm is like in the first chapter, in the introduction, we talk about like how we deal with the how we calculate the convex hull. Remember? So we're starting from left, right? Every time we add one point to it, right? And then if we need to do some change, we change some previous added point, right? And we keep adding one point at one time, right? So that is also an example of incremental algorithm. Same, just like this one. This is incremental algorithm. So starting initially, okay, at the very beginning, okay, at the very beginning, what do we have? Okay, here is like for each iteration, we are trying to add a segment into this data structure. Okay, so we are treating the segments one by one. Okay, we are trying to add the segments one by one. Okay, so before we add any segments, what do we have? Huh? No. The endpoint comes with segment, right? The endpoint comes with a segment, right? Without segment, you don't have endpoint. Okay. So before anything here, before any of these segments, what do we have? We don't have this. Don't have this. What do we have? Huh? Anybody?
A big plan.
Not exactly. Okay. Remember, we have a bounding box. This dotted line. The bounding box. The bounding box is not associated with any segment, right? Okay. So before you add any segment, you already have the bounding box, right? So, well, you start from the bounding box, right? And let me ask you this question. Okay, because bounding box is a rectangle, right? Is rectangle a trapezoid? Yes, right? So we start from a root node, okay, with one trapezoid, which is the bounding box. Is that clear? Okay, that's the initial situation, initial condition. And that must be correct, right? So because any query point you put into must be inside of the bounding box, right? So, well, and then you just answer that trapezoid, okay, which is, of course, a bounding box, right? Okay, so there's no question about that, okay? So, then we need to talk about how we can deal with adding the segment one by one, okay? How we can add the segment one by one and still maintain the correctness of this data structure, okay? This is how you construct this this one, okay, the algorithm. But I will not talk about the algorithm because this algorithm is like just by talking about the algorithm, you guys can never understand. Okay, I will use examples to show you how we can, how we can do this thing. How this algorithm is executed. What this algorithm is doing. Okay, the first thing I would like to tell you is something like this. The trapezoid intersected by SI, okay, must be adjacent to each other. For example, assuming I already add S1, S2, S3, S4 to Si minus 1, okay, I already add these segments. Okay? Now I'm adding S1. Okay? So you can see this is the segment Si I'm trying to add. You can see that all this trapezoid, okay, that this additional segment is going to affect these trapezoids are adjacent to each other, right? Right? Okay. You may have a question. You may have a question. You may have a question. So we have this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And this is endpoint. We have this one. Okay. So this is roughly that one, right? So we don't have a problem with that one. So how about, you may ask, you may have asked, how about the segment I add is like this? Is it possible that the segment, the new segment I add, is going to be like this? There's like if it's like this, you can see, okay, these two are adjacent to each other. These two are adjacent to each other, but this one, okay, and this one, how should I say? You can. It's just a little bit ugly, right? The answer is it's not possible. Why is not possible? Yeah, because such an intersection is not possible based on our first assumption. Okay? Based on our first assumption, we assume the segments do not have intersection. Remember? If there's intersection, actually, well, we actually treat like this one as two different segments. This one. And the other one is this one. Okay, we are going to add them separately. Okay? So it's not going to be just one iteration thing. It's going to be two iterations. Okay? Because if you do this, okay, if you have something like this, then you will find out that it is possible, okay, for example, okay, say we have, if you do this, okay, or this one, if you do this, okay, then this is not anyway. This is possible. Like the trapezoid you are going to affect, okay, will no longer be adjacent trapezoid, okay. But as I said, this situation is not possible because we do not allow the segments to intersect, okay. And in the trapezoid map, trapezoidal map, okay, it's relatively easy to find the adjacent trapezoid. For example, okay, C, okay, if you want to find D and F, okay, so basically, okay, you go back to P2, okay, and then you know the adjacent trapezoid, okay, will be on the right-hand side of P2, so which will be the right subtree from here, okay. So it's relatively easy for you to identify your neighboring trapezoid, okay. Only take constant amount of time, okay. So now it's the interesting thing, okay. Assuming we already finished adding I-1 segments, okay, we already add S1, S2, S3 up to Si-1. Now we are adding Si, okay. Say that if Si is completely contained in this trapezoid, okay, if Si is completely contained in this trapezoid, you will find that Si is going to destroy the original one and make the original trapezoid become something like this, right? Right? And what you are going to do is simply replace this leaf node, the original leaf node that represents this trapezoid, by this one. Of course, here you use the PIQI, which are the two endpoints of this segment, and also you need to use SI, okay, to tell it's up, above or below. Okay, so you replace this leaf node by this one. Done. Okay, you can see that nothing else will have to be affected. Nothing else will have to be affected, right? Okay? So that's a simple case, okay? If the segment you add happen to be contained completely inside one trapezoid, okay? Okay, so let's consider a more difficult case, something like this. This one. This is complicated enough, right? Already complicated enough, right? Okay, assuming you are adding this SI, this dotted line segment to your search structure, okay? And previously you already have all this stuff there, okay? And of course, I mean the trapezoids that intersect with this newly inserted segments, they will have to be modified, right? They will have to be modified. Okay? You can see that what are the new the trapezoid that intersect with the new this SI. It will be delta 0, delta 1, delta 2, and delta 3, right? Delta 0, delta 1, delta 2, and delta 3. And you can see these trapezoids, they are adjacent to each other, right? They are adjacent to each other, right? They are adjacent to each other. Something like this. And what we need to do, okay, is to replace these leaf nodes. Okay, eventually it will become something like that. So what we need to do is we are going to replace those 4 leaf nodes by this one. Okay, here you can see SI will appear multiple times. Okay, and then okay, you are going to use PI and QI as well. Okay, which are the endpoints of our newly added line segment. But well, actually, we don't need to use PI here because PI already appeared previously in here. Okay, so you don't need to change that. Okay, so but you do need to use QI here. Okay, and you will find that this change can be done locally. Okay, it does not affect the other part of the tree. The other part of the graph, I'm sorry, the other part of the graph. Okay? And second, okay, this intersection, okay, there are only finite number of situations that you do need to consider. There are only finite number of situations you need to consider. Okay? So it's really not that difficult to deal with them. Okay? So that is why we can write a pseudocode here. Okay, to deal with that. Okay, so you can see here. We have a bounding box first, okay, and then you can see the second line. We have a random permutation for this line segment, okay. The reason to do a random permutation for this line segment is to avoid any potential ordering, okay, of the line segment, okay, because you will find that, okay, with the randomness, okay, if you insert these segments in random order, then the query, okay, or like a storage space, okay, will be more ideal. Okay, you can probably say well, even though it's not exactly a tree, right? But you can say the tree. I mean, because it looks like a tree, you can say that tree, okay, the resulting tree is going to be more balanced. The resulting graph is going to be more balanced, okay, which will have a much smaller storage cost and the query cost. Okay, we will see that later when we talk about the analysis. Okay, so that's why we intentionally do a random permutation for these segments, n9 segments. Okay, and then we add this 9 segment one by one. Okay, so every time we add one line segment, we remove the trapezoids that intersect with the newly added line segment, and then replace them with the searchable local additional data structure. Okay, so that's the basic idea here. Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention one thing. Okay, so once you have the location of this endpoint, okay, then you can for the trapezoid that that intersect with this newly inserted line segment. Okay, as I said, you just need to look at the adjacent trapezoids, right? But how do we find this trapezoid which contain this endpoint? You may say, hey, wait a moment. The problem here becomes find the trapezoid which contain a particular point. This problem is identical to what the problem we want to solve, right? Okay, because previously we already add this SI, S1, S2, S2 up to SI minus 1, this segment. And that data structure is searchable already, right? So we can use that existing data structure to do a search for this particular endpoint in order to identify which trapezoid contain that point, and use that trapezoid as a starting trapezoid to find the adjacent ones. Okay? That's like here. Okay, we need to find P is contained in one of the trapezoid, okay, in SI minus 1. Okay, so we need to find like which trapezoid contain this endpoint P. Okay, which is a subproblem. I mean, we already, you know, we already have data structure to solve this. Okay. Okay. So we take 10 minutes break. When we come back, we are going to discuss like the analysis. Okay. I'm not sure if I have enough time to finish the analysis, but I will give you a try.